On his way out of a luxury hotel, a busy billionaire accidentally drops his expensive wallet, completely unaware. But when a homeless black girl returns it before he even realizes it's missing, something shifts. He sees a frail, starving child fighting for her life in a world that has long ignored her. What happens when two lives from opposite worlds collide by chance? Before diving into the story, leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. The city of New York hummed with its usual chaotic rhythm, a mixture of honking horns, hurried footsteps, and the distant rumble of an approaching subway train. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the glass facades of towering skyscrapers, reflecting off the polished surfaces of high-end cars idling along the curb. The scent of roasted chestnuts from a nearby vendor mixed with the sharp tang of exhaust fumes, creating a scent uniquely and unmistakably urban. Emerging from the grand entrance of the Lexington Hotel, a luxurious five-star establishment known for hosting the elite, Richard Whittaker, 45 years old, a billionaire whose face often graced the covers of Forbes and the Wall Street Journal, stepped onto the sidewalk. His tailored charcoal gray suit fit him perfectly, a symbol of the meticulous precision with which he lived his life. His salt and pepper hair was slicked back neatly, and the subtle glint of a gold Rolex peeked from beneath his sleeve as he reached into his jacket. As Richard retrieved his sleek black leather wallet, checking the contents with his usual efficiency, his phone vibrated in his other hand. He barely spared the notification a glance. Likely another reminder from his secretary about his upcoming shareholder meeting downtown. Without thinking, he slid the phone back into his pocket, not noticing as the movement caused the wallet to slip from his grasp. It landed with a soft, almost imperceptible thud onto the smooth pavement below, blending seamlessly with the polished sidewalk. Richard continued walking toward his awaiting limousine, a sleek jet-black Rolls-Royce Phantom gleaming under the fading sunlight. His longtime driver and personal assistant, Benjamin Foster, stood beside the open rear door, his usual composed demeanor in place. "Everything on schedule, sir?" Benjamin asked, his deep voice carrying the practiced efficiency of someone who had spent years anticipating his employer's needs. "As always," Richard replied, smoothing down his jacket as he prepared to slide into the plush leather interior. Across the street, amidst the blur of pedestrians, Kayla Moore, 10 years old, sat on the cold, cracked concrete near the entrance of a subway station, her back pressed against a rusted metal railing. She had positioned herself just out of the way of foot traffic, visible enough for anyone, to drop a coin into the small paper cup in front of her. She had been there for hours, watching hundreds of polished shoes and designer heels pass by, not sparing a second glance at the little girl huddled in oversized clothes barely clinging to her frail frame. Her stomach rumbled, a dull, persistent ache she'd grown used to, but the real discomfort came from the deep itch in her skin, the persistent reminder of the illness eating away at her body. The hoodie she wore, once a faded shade of pink but now smudged with dirt, barely concealed the signs of her condition. Her bald head, a result of illness rather than choice, gleamed slightly under the streetlights. Some stared too long, their expressions unreadable: pity, curiosity, discomfort, but no one ever stopped. Kayla had learned people preferred ignoring discomfort. She had just begun to lose hope of collecting enough money for even a single meal when she noticed something unusual: a black wallet, clearly expensive, lying unattended on the sidewalk. Her heart pounded as she scrambled to her feet, grabbing the wallet. She saw Benjamin closing the car door, about to seal Richard inside. "Mr. Waite," she called, voice barely audible over the city noise. When they didn't hear her, she ran, weaving through pedestrians. Just as Benjamin placed his hand on the door handle, Kayla lunged forward, briefly grabbing Richard's suit sleeve before quickly letting go, realizing too late how improper that was. Richard turned sharply, mild irritation flashing in his piercing blue eyes. Benjamin instinctively stepped forward, placing himself between Richard and the ragged child. "You dropped this," she said, thrusting the wallet forward. Richard stared at the wallet, then back at her, surprise crossing his features. Finally, he reached out, taking it from her small hands. "Thank you," he said quietly. Kayla gave him a small nod, turning back to return to her spot. Richard had already begun to enter the car when a voice, sharp with irritation, cut through the air. "You again?" A middle-aged man in a greasy apron stomped toward them, his eyes locked onto Kayla. "I told you to stop hanging around my store. You're scaring off my customers." Kayla froze, head instinctively dipping forward as if bracing for impact. Richard slowly turned to the man. "Is she causing trouble?" he asked calmly. "She doesn't steal, but she lingers around. It's bad for business." "So, she hasn't actually done anything wrong?" Richard asked evenly. "Well, no," the man admitted. "Interesting," Richard murmured. Without another word, he stepped into the limousine. Inside, Richard sat thoughtfully. The encounter lingered in his mind. A child with nothing had returned a wallet worth more than she'd see in a year. Benjamin observed the subtle shift in Richard's mood. "That was unexpected," Benjamin remarked carefully. Richard's eyes drifted toward the cityscape. She didn't hesitate. He murmured, more to himself than to Benjamin. "She chose right immediately." Richard shifted in his seat. "Slow down, Benjamin." Benjamin obeyed, reducing speed. "Something wrong, sir? See if you can spot her." They spotted her sitting hunched against a brick wall, knees drawn close, tracing her thin wrists to keep warm. Richard instructed Benjamin to pull over and stepped out, crouching beside her gently. "Hello again," he said calmly. Kayla looked up, startled. "Did I forget something?" "No," Richard said softly. "But I think I might have." He placed several crisp $100 bills in her cup. "It's not charity," he assured gently. "It's for food, something warm." She hesitated before whispering, "Thank you." "What's your name?" he asked. "Kayla," she whispered. Richard nodded gently. "What do you really need?" She looked away briefly, fighting emotion, and whispered, "I need help." Before he could respond, recognition rippled through passers-by, voices raised excitedly. Richard extended his hand. "Come with me." Kayla hesitated, then grasped his hand. Benjamin shielded them from cameras as they entered the limousine. Inside, Kayla sat stiffly, her breath shallow. Suddenly, she slumped sideways, unconscious. Richard swiftly caught her, urgency flooding him. "Benjamin, hospital now," he commanded. At the hospital, doctors confirmed Kayla's critical condition, untreated malignant melanoma, advanced and dangerous. Richard sat by her hospital bed later, concerned. "Where do you stay?" he asked softly. "Bright Horizon Group Home," she murmured quietly. Richard's expression softened. "I need to see where you come from." At Bright Horizon, Richard was moved by the home's neglect. He swiftly funded its renovation, ensuring proper medical care, a warm environment, and security for every child. Weeks later, Richard sat quietly at Bright Horizon, a book in hand. Kayla slept peacefully beside him, safe, cared for. His wealth had finally built more than empires. It had built a home, and somehow, that mattered more than anything. Join us in sharing meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.